Alrighty. Hello, everybody. This is Kyusho here, and now, before we do start, let me go ahead and say one thing about this storyline. Now, this storyline is based on Hajime no Ippo, Blaze Hollow of the Blessed Heroes. He showed me that story, and it was a very good anime. Granted, it is not finished, unfortunately, but with what we do see of it, it's such a good storyline. Now, the manga is still up and running from what he's told me, but I don't know much about that. That you'd have to either look into yourself or ask him about. But this is a story based on that. Now, obviously, there is going to be a little bit of issues, a little bit of problems that I would need to work out. A story based on boxing that has quirks inside of it. Yeah, that can be interesting. Just like how pro heroes, they only ever deal with quirk incidences, it's an interesting idea of taking the opposite situation. You take something normal, put something ridiculous inside of it. And what do you get? Possibly an interesting storyline. Now, with that being said, I do want to state that things might be a bit different. Right now, quirks, they aren't as widespread. And this, it does have a bit of an effect on how things are. Quirks, they did pop up around the ninth generation ago, but they haven't spread fully as much as they are. Instead of about 90 to 80% of the world having quirks, about 70 to 60% of the world have quirks. And that it is still an ongoing thing. Most people are human. Most people have superpowers. But only those truly of exceptional value have strong quirks. Now, that does mean that pro heroes aren't as widespread, but villains, they certainly could be just as widespread as heroes, if not more. Hero society is just being built, and Izuku exists in a world after the chaos with quirks happened. Now then, with that being said, let's go ahead and start the storyline with that statement said. Izuku, it's his last day of middle school. He's trying to figure out what exactly to do. He is quirkless. That he's well aware of. But a few other people in his class are also quirkless. Some have talked about what it's like to have a superpower. Some are unsure, but others aren't exactly that worried about it. Of the few, there is Bakugo Katsuki. He's an old friend of Izuku's. The two grew up together and one of their friends had a quirk. But Bakugo himself doesn't. Right now, a lot's going on. People have been talking and wanting to figure out career paths, but Izuku isn't exactly too sure. Bakugo's talked about heading to the mall today, maybe seeing about talking with a cute girl, and maybe going on a date. He doesn't really know. Right now, he's just trying to figure things out himself. He's got the rest of high school, and then there's the idea of going to college. But what would he go to college for? He heard that people are talking about pros? I mean, pro heroes, I guess, but pros is the short name of them. People becoming an actual society that may one day replace the police force, but that's a whole other issue. It's weird. Metahumans are popping up a lot more regularly, and people are either manifesting quirks and or find out they've had certain abilities their whole lives. It's certainly an odd thing. It would be cool to one day find out you could just shoot fire out of your hands or float the TV remote to you whenever you need it. You don't gotta even stand up. But that may be a long ways away. If he was born with a quirk, he doesn't know. He hasn't discovered it. And whenever he does a walk home, he does try to think about it. He's heard about instances with the police and these pros beginning to happen. There is that little bit of backlash and pushback from the police force and those who do support them. If pro heroes have the ability to do things, then what do they need the police for? If they take over as the predominant force for using their inherited abilities, powers they were born with, why would cops exist? That's a whole debate he's heard about. He thought about becoming a cop before or a firefighter, but if a pro is going to one day replace that institution, why bother? And that's a thought Deku does not necessarily like. Right now, he's just going through the motions, trying to figure out what he could do. And this does catch his attention. Right now, him on his phone as he does go to look up. Seeing that right now, when he does a walk into a tunnel, people do so and stand there. Talking about how if he's got any cash, maybe it would be a good idea to go ahead and toss it. The phone too, and well, just go ahead and be rational and hand over his wallet. Just go ahead and give that cash a nice place to sit. And Izuku's caught off guard by this. One of the guys has needle-like fingers. Another guy is levitating a knife. And the third guy, he doesn't snap his fingers. A chill going to be produced from his hands. And this is odd. They're around his age, but they've all got quirks. It's a gang. And this does catch him by surprise. Right now, him wondering about what exactly to do. He can run, but the guy with telekinesis, he might just stab him. If that isn't a bluff. And Deku just don't sit there frozen for a second. Before a man who was running by does get to see the situation. Right now, him turning his head whenever he was going to make his way down the tunnel. Deciding that taking the long way around might be better exercise to help him clear his mind. But when he does get to see that the man there is... No, the teenager there is in trouble, he doesn't make his way over. Right now, him going to stare on as he does it a walk up. Asking them if they're giving this young man trouble. Well, we wouldn't necessarily say that. We're just having a conversation. I'd say not. I would suggest leaving. Now. Otherwise, you three might find yourselves in trouble. Him glancing at all of them. And when they do go to stare at him, they do go to talk about it. Fucking quirkless. Turning to leave. Though the guy with a floating knife, he does go to step forwards, talking about how maybe they should teach him a lesson. And the man does get a hold of his fist, telling them, maybe or maybe not. Does he really want to try that? Besides, who said he was quirkless? Just a little term like that doesn't mean anything. The man going to clap his hands together as wind pressure does go send the kid flying backwards, 5 feet. Him going to land on the ground and go to glare up. And Deku does stare at the man, his head flying backwards and his golden hair revealed. He's an American? No, wait, his Japanese is fluent. It sounds perfect. Who is this guy? Him gonna watch the three run off. And the man does get to turn back to Deku, asking him if he's alright. I'm Fine. Why? How did you do that? Hmm? My quirk, along with a little bit of training. It's a wind quirk, but that's about it. I'm Toshinori Yagi. I'm Mizuku. Sorry, you're a pro? I'm not a pro. Though I am training for something, but my quirk doesn't exactly work for what I'm doing. Then again, I gotta get back to it. Wait, what are you training for? Hmm, well, I'm trying to be the heavyweight champ. Seriously? Oh, yeah. A buddy of mine is my trainer, but Mr. Takamura is a bit more stubborn in his old age compared to his old mentor, God bless his soul. But that's a whole other thing. If I'm not back in about 20 minutes, then he's going to give me some heat. Though he was already going to do that. Can't really get off the leash with that man in charge. You're a boxer. Yep. Then again, are you trying to do something? Or were you just trying to get in trouble? Him giving Deku a raised eyebrow. When Deku does raise his hands to defend himself, the man does get a smile, telling him he's just joking. He knows that troublemakers like that do hang around the area from time to time. But if he does want to try to learn some self defense, maybe come to the gym. Him going to Telezuku. It's not that bad. Kamagawa Gym is a pretty good place to learn. Besides, if he does ever really want to try and get serious about it, either as a hobby or as a career path, just give him a call. I mean, they'll run into each other there. And Izuku, over the man does a turn, he does decide to look this up on his phone. It's interesting. I mean, fighting somebody in a ring. He's not really that confrontational, but something about it is alluring. Right now, him going to make his way inside and see an old man. Him with his gray hair and a shaggy looking beard. Right now, him with a thin frame and scars along his chest that do show some sort of incident he was involved in. And he does start to yell at someone, talking about exactly what the hell they were doing. And this, Deku does get a watch. The people he's yelling at running out of the gym as the old man does get somewhat sigh, bringing his hand up and combing it through his thinning hair, looking up and seeing Deku. And he does go to walk over, talking about it. So what? Is he another one of the people here who think he could just come in, talk it up, and then run off? Or is he going to try and use his quirk in a ring to try and get famous? He's already blown off a few people like that. Hell, back in his day, you didn't need a quirk to beat someone's ass. Sir, I'm not looking for that. No, I'm sorry. I'm quirkless, but quirkless. Maybe I could work with that. Tell me, son, have you ever been in a fight? No, not really. No. Well, you look a little shabby. Right-handed or left-handed? I'm ambidextrous. Really? Well, are you looking to work out here or train here or what? Oh, I met Mr. Yagi out on his run. He kind of helped me out with the situation, and I was curious to look around. Him nodding his head. and talking about it. Right, right, okay. Hmm. He stopped in earlier to take a bit of a break, but he did tell him about the kid. So, if he does intend to work out here, then take a bag and throw a punch. He'd love to see what the kid can do. And Deku does want to understand. The man showing Deku how to wrap his hands and giving him a old pair of gloves. Whenever Deku does a step up to the bag, he does go to throw a few test jabs. And it is a bit interesting. The man can see that Deku does have some potential. Though, him throwing a punch, yeah. He has some technique, but not much power. Power can be improved, but that comes with time. And time, hmm, could he get this kid his boxing license? Maybe. Then again, he might be uh taking a bit of chance with this one. Possibly, but still. The kid's a featherweight? Lightweight? Maybe. Small, scrawny, thin. Put him on the right regiment and yeah, he could potentially He's already got some idiots for the other weight classes, and this kid being a decent featherweight is not out of the possibility, yeah. Maybe he could work with this. Maybe give Ipo a call and let him know what he's working with. He knows that old bastard can certainly still throw a bit of a punch. And again, he's got to get the kid eased into this. He doesn't need to get the license plate of that fucking truck that might hit him, though, so he won't bring in Ipo just yet. As much as he doesn't want to admit it. Him annoyed. And whenever he goes to watch Deku slowly start to run out of steam after a few jabs, he does go to try and step in, talking with Deku and seeing what he might want to do. If he does want to become a boxer, it could be an interesting lineup for him. He could be in the featherweight class and get a boxing license, go into the ring and actually fight somebody. And Izuku does find it to be a bit interesting. He doesn't know much about boxing, but him being ambidextrous does leave him open for a few different styles. He can be a southpaw, he can be a regular fighter, or he could be an in fighter or an out fighter. He may not have a reach for the flicker jab, but he can certainly find his own style, make up for it in his own way. Boxing has unique styles. You just gotta find out what works for you and then go with it. And Izuku, when he's gonna head home, he does have a little bit of that fire in his eyes. Him deciding that it might be good. But whenever Inko does catch wind about Deku wanting to go out and join a gym to box people, she's a bit more caught off guard by this. It's a rapid change for Izuku. I mean, he's a regular kid, but it's not a bad idea. Being more physically active, being up, about, and running around could be a good thing for him. But she is a bit worried about the injuries he might suffer from, especially if he's supposed to get into a ring and punch people till one of them are either unconscious or the other one does give up, is unable to fight. And those ideas for her don't give her much reassurance. But Izuku, he does begin his own training. At first, it's not that easy for him. But over time, as he does get to fall into routine, they do get to realize that Deku, he does have potential. Especially after learning proper technique and getting some muscle packed onto that frame of his, they do to watch that Deku, he does have some devastating striking power. Especially whenever Takamura decided to show Deku a bit of things that could help him improve. Heavyweights do sometimes ignore it. The bigger your body, the bigger your frame, the more muscle you got packed on, as long as you're in the weight class, people think you'll win if you're just the biggest guy, and if you punch the hardest. But that's the difference. Striking power and physical power are similar, but it can also decrease your range. So you got to figure out a way to have all that striking power without limiting your own range of motion. That's the thing that Takamura decided to try and help Izuku with. He's been hot-headed before in his youth. Deku isn't like that. He wants to find a way to get this kid's fire lit. Once that's said and done, he's fairly certain the kid can rain hell on anyone. And that he definitely wants to see. Though it does go to make him feel his own age. The kid's timid, polite, kind, just like an old friend of his. And it does make him somewhat laugh out, if not chuckle, from time to time. Especially after watching Deku take a blow at one point and almost immediately void the contents of his stomach. Considering the fact that the kid, he took a pretty devastating liver blow and nearly killed over. And Yagi, he did give Deku a little bit of flack for that, since he let his guard down. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next mini shot.